Have you ever, uh, I don't know, thought about what it'd be like if you could take medicine that like only went to the part of your body that needs it?
Yeah, like a magic bullet.
Yeah, exactly. Like no more side effects, just straight to the problem. That's basically the whole idea behind these drug targeting strategies we're going to be looking at today, right?
Yeah.
And we've got a bunch of really interesting sources that go deep into all the clever ways scientists are trying to make that a reality. So I guess for this deep dive, what we really want to do is figure out like the main ideas and just how much potential there is for getting drugs to go exactly where we want them to.
Yeah, I think, what's really cool is how we're moving away from those like old school treatments that affect your whole body. We're getting so much better at really focusing on just the problem area. And I mean, think about it. Better results and way fewer side effects. That'd be amazing, right?
Totally.
Eh,
Okay, so to start off, there's this thing called passive targeting. And it sounds kind of laid back, right? Like it's not about the drug, like actively hunting down its target.
Yeah, exactly. It's more about using what's already there in the body, to its advantage.
Right, right.
So passive targeting basically uses those natural differences between healthy tissue and, say, diseased tissue. And a really good example is this thing called the EPR effect, enhanced permeability and retention.
Okay, EPR, got it.
Right. So imagine a solid tumor, right? A lot of times the blood vessels in tumors are kind of leaky and the drainage system, the lymphatic system, isn't working so well. So what happens is nanoparticles, these tiny little particles between like 10 and 200 nanometers.
Wow, that's tiny.
Yeah, super tiny. They can actually build up inside the tumor because it's easier for them to get in there compared to normal tissue with healthy blood vessels.
So it's like the tumor's own messed up structure is what traps these drug carriers.
Exactly. And get this, the actual characteristics of the nanoparticles themselves, like their size, shape, even their charge, can totally affect how well they can use this EPR effect. Oh, and another thing is that like different tumors have different levels of leakiness, so that matters too. And then, on top of EPR, there are other passive targeting methods that use these natural differences in the body. Like some of these drug carriers only release the medicine in environments that are more acidic, which is actually common in tumors. And, those little compartments inside cells called endosomes.
Endosomes, yeah, I remember that.
Right, so those two. And then others, they react to temperatures that are a little bit higher, which also happens a lot in tumors.
Mhm.
Or sometimes they're triggered by certain enzymes that are like way more active in diseased tissue.
So it's like they're using the body's own signals to their advantage, huh?
hmm
That's pretty neat. Okay, so then there's active targeting, which sounds a lot more, well, active. Like now we're giving the drug some kind of smarts to find its target, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you got it. Active targeting is all about that molecular recognition. It's like giving the drug a key to find its specific lock. So basically, scientists attach these molecules called ligands to the drug or the thing that's carrying it.
Like a little homing beacon.
Yeah, kind of. And these ligands, they're designed to bind to receptors that are like way more common on the surface of certain cells, like, you know, cancer cells.
So what kinds of things are these targeting keys? I mean, what are they made of?
Oh, there's a ton of different stuff. Antibodies, little pieces of proteins, peptides, even vitamins. And they're all chosen because they really like to stick to those receptors on the target cells. It's like, for example, some cancer cells really need a lot of folate, a type of vitamin. So if you attach folate to like a drug delivery system, it's way more likely to get taken up by those cancer cells. And then there's these things called cell-penetrating peptides. And these guys, they help the drugs actually get through the cell membrane after they bind to their target.
Wow, so it's like a whole delivery system. Okay, so just to recap, passive targeting is about like getting more of the drug to the right area, and active targeting is about making sure it actually sticks to the right cells.
Exactly.
Got it. So then there's this other thing called stimuli responsive targeting, which makes me think of those time release capsules. It's like the drug only gets released under really specific conditions.
That's a great analogy. These, we call them smart drug delivery systems. They're designed to only let go of their payload when they hit a specific trigger at like the spot where the disease is.
So it's like a safety mechanism.
Yeah, you could say that. And these triggers, they can come from inside the body, like the pH changes and enzyme activity we talked about before, or they can be external, like, zapping it with light, ultrasound, magnetic fields, or even just changing the temperature from outside the body. There's actually a cancer treatment called photodynamic therapy that uses light to activate drugs and kill cancer cells.
So it's like super targeted, right? And we keep hearing about nanoparticles. Where do they fit in with all this?
Oh, nanoparticles are like the stars of the show. They're super important for all sorts of drug targeting. So remember how we talked about the EPR effect? Well, nanoparticles are small enough, between 1 and 1,000 nanometers, to take advantage of that and passively target tumors.
So they're like the perfect size.
Yeah, pretty much. But it gets better. You can also modify their surface to carry those ligands we talked about for active targeting. There are actually a bunch of different kinds of nanoparticles being developed right now, each with its own, special properties.
So what makes them so useful? Why nanoparticles?
Well, think about it. They can hold all sorts of different drugs inside them. They protect those drugs from getting broken down too early, and they give you so much control over when and where the drug gets released. And, like, the best part, they make target delivery so much easier.
Right.
Way better than traditional drugs, that's for sure.
For sure. Now, one of the sources also talked about gene therapy. What's the connection with targeting there?
Right. So gene therapy, it's all about getting those helpful genes to the right cells, to treat or prevent diseases. And to do that, they often use these things called vectors, which are basically like delivery trucks for genes.
Okay, so like a virus.
Sometimes they use modified viruses, yeah, but sometimes they're not viral at all. It could be like a liposome or a polymer. And the key is that these vectors can be engineered to target really specific types of cells. So you know that genetic material is going exactly where it needs to go.
Wow, so they're literally changing the cells themselves. That's pretty amazing. And it seems like the ultimate goal is to be super precise, like down to the level of individual cells or even parts of cells.
Absolutely. That's what we call cellular and subcellular targeting. It's all about getting those therapeutic agents, whether it's a drug or a gene or something else, to the exact right cells in a tissue or even to specific organelles inside those cells.
Organelles, those are like the tiny organs inside cells,
Yeah.
right?
You got it. And to get that level of precision, you need some really clever targeting strategies. I mean, think about it. We're talking about hitting a target that's like a million times smaller than a pinhead. But that's where we're headed. And these approaches are being developed for all kinds of diseases, like cancer, where they target those markers that are only found on tumor cells, infectious diseases, where they go after specific pathogens, and even neurological disorders, where they're figuring out how to get drugs past the blood-brain barrier.
The blood-brain barrier, that's the shield that protects the brain. Right.
Exactly. That's a tough one to crack, but researchers are making progress.
This all sounds seriously revolutionary, but I'm guessing there are still some big hurdles to overcome. I mean, it can't be easy.
Oh, yeah, there are definitely challenges. One of the biggest ones is making sure the targeting is really specific. We don't want those drugs going anywhere they're not supposed to. Off-target effects can be a real problem. And then there's the issue of getting those drug carriers to actually penetrate deep into the tissue, especially those solid tumors. They can be pretty dense and hard to get through. And of course, we have to figure out how to take all this amazing stuff from the lab and turn it into treatments that actually work in people. That means dealing with safety, making sure we can produce enough of these therapies, and, the cost can't be astronomical.
Right. It has to be practical, too. But even with those challenges, it sounds like the future of drug targeting is pretty bright. I mean, you mentioned theranostics and personalized medicine earlier,
Yeah.
and those sound super promising.
Yeah, those are some of the really exciting areas right now. So theranostics, it's basically combining therapy and diagnostics. They're developing these nanoparticles that can not only deliver the drug, but they can also let us see where it's going and how it's working in real time.
That's wild. Like a GPS for your medicine.
Yeah, exactly. And then personalized medicine, that's about tailoring those targeted therapies to each individual patient based on their specific disease and their genetics and all that. It has the potential to be way more effective and way less toxic.
So basically, it sounds like this whole field of drug targeting is all about pushing the limits of precision medicine, figuring out how to deliver treatments with pinpoint accuracy. And that's a pretty huge deal for creating the next generation of therapies that are safer and more effective for everyone.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, if we can get this good at directing medicine to the exact right spot in the body, what other seemingly impossible medical feats might we be able to achieve in the future? I mean, what else might become possible that we can't even imagine yet?
That's a great question to think about. And thanks for taking this deep dive with me today.
My pleasure.
It's been fascinating.
Yeah, really cool stuff.